Live music with iTunes and Coca-Cola.
Hello, I'm Nicola Bond. I'm at Coco in Camden, which at the moment is the place for the iTunes Festival. Now, it's been really busy. They've had the likes of Calvin Harris, they've had the Guillemots, they're going to have McFly soon. But tonight's gig, totally and utterly different. Suzanne Vega. Now, she's been around for 22 years, a personal heroine. My dad loves her. My little sister loves her. She really does attract all ages. And I'm going to be chatting to her about what it's like to be performing at a thoroughly modern festival, the iTunes Festival. So off to meet her any second. Very, very excited. Hey, hello, Suzanne. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
How are you feeling before your gig tonight?
Feeling good.
Is this any different? Obviously, it's the iTunes Festival. You're doing your EP tonight. Are you recording it live? Yeah. So that's all happening tonight. Do you feel more nervous? Do you feel any different to a normal live gig?
A little nervous. I want everything to go well because it is being recorded. But we've done a lot of shows that go out live over the air or whatever. But so I feel a little extra nervous. But not too bad.
Do you have an iPod?
Yeah.
And what kind of music do you have on it? Do you download loads of music the whole time?
I have a bunch of it. It's sort of confusing because I've lost a couple of libraries on my hard drive of my Mac because I destroyed them by mistake. Somehow I've gotten frustrated a couple of times and pounded on mine with my fist, which was the wrong thing to do because I lost everything off of my computer at that point. Mark can definitely vouch for that. So I'm a little wary of what I download. I don't just download all kinds of stuff. If I really love something, I will get the CD because I like to know that there's a backup. But I have a very wide taste in music, and I just like a bunch of different things, really.
Do you have a travelling playlist for when you're kind of moving around doing your tours?
No, I've got playlists that are sort of like, there's one called Dance Time. There's one called Sad Songs 1 and Sad Songs 2.
When do you listen to those?
I love those ones. So I have different ones.
Do you think, you've been around for 22 years now, is it? Maybe longer. No, that's probably the best way. Do you think that the whole iPod thing has changed the way we consume music? Has it affected the way you produce your own music and the way you write?
No, actually, iPods have not changed the way that I create music, but GarageBand has, because now I used to only play acoustic guitar, and then for a very short time I had a Fairlight because I was inspired by Kate Bush and by Peter Gabriel, and I thought, I'd like to be like them, and I bought a Fairlight, and that was a big mistake. I gave it away a couple of years later. Because I just wasn't, first of all, I'm not a keyboard player, and I just found I had no talent for it. But if you have GarageBand, you can create all kinds of loops and sounds, and you can start sketching songs in a different way, which is what I did for the last album. So it's not so much that iPods have changed the way I think of music, but GarageBand definitely has.
Yeah, and do you think that's changed your listenership, or do you think, what is your listenership to you? Do you think it's because I'll tell you what, my dad got really excited when he knew I was interviewing you. My boyfriend loves you. I've got that you just attract the ages. Why are you so attractive to old and young, do you think?
Well, I think I do attract a wide variety of ages and different types of people. There's so many songs that I've written about being young or being a child. So I think children are attracted to the music sometimes because it's imaginative in a certain way. Small Blue Thing or The Queen and the Soldier, and even some of the newer songs I think still ring. They're a bit fantastic. But the rest of it I'm not really sure about.
Do you think that, because is Ruby 13 now, your daughter?
She's 14 now, yeah.
Has she changed the way you write? And also, how does she listen to your music? Does she love the fantasy pieces, or is she a fan at all?
She's a fan. She goes through phases of liking different ones. She liked The Queen and the Soldier when she was about 7 or 8. She came in and she wanted to know, why does the Queen kill the soldier? Is it because he doesn't want to work for her anymore? So, we had to talk about that. But now she likes the new album. She sings on the new album, so she likes Ludlow Street, which she sings on. Yeah, she's the one singing backup in that song. So Yeah, I mean, her view of music is interesting because she is not someone who will listen to an album. She won't sit down and listen to one album from the beginning to the end. The idea of listening to 13 songs in a row by the same person seems very strange to her. It's like a playlist that's not right, you know? That's the way her mind conceives of it. So it's kind of interesting. But I'm always curious to know who she's attracted to and who she's listening to.
Live music with iTunes and Coca-Cola.
I want to talk more about your lyrics and how they come to you. Would you say for you it's the words that are more important than the tune, or it all just comes at once?
It's really the lyrics that have always gotten me excited. And I love melodies too, but I would say I work harder at that. The lyrics and the ideas behind the lyrics are really the thing that made me love music and love writing. And that's really what it's about for me. And
you obviously had quite a difficult stage in your life where you had a child, you had a divorce, marriage problems, the things we all go through. But did that affect the way that you wrote? I mean, do events in your life suddenly have a big impact, or do you think because I mean, everything you produce just has this amazingly high standard, I think. That's why you've been around for 22 years. But have you changed as a person, and has that changed your music a lot?
I'm sure I have changed as a person in some ways. But inside myself, I feel the same. I mean, my methods have changed a little bit. When I was younger, I could spend lots of time being introspective and thinking of, if there was a queen and she lived in a castle and there was a soldier, I could spend hours thinking about different situations. Once you have a child, it's different. You have to schedule your time more. I have to be much more structured with my time now than I used to be. But I think that there's still something that's still the same, no matter how old I get or how much I change physically. I think there will be something that's the same.
You haven't changed physically. What's your face cream? Seriously? You have no wrinkles. Why?
Actually, I use every face cream on the market because I have really sensitive skin. It's terrible. And when I was a teenager, it was always breaking out in rashes and blotches, which it still does today. So I really pamper it with every kind of, expensive ones, cheap ones. I just buy all of them and use them all.
I really wanted a hint. I was going to say...
You can start with oil of Olay.
Yeah, no, I've been using it. My grandma always... Oh, grandmas, I wanted to ask you about... Was your grandma not a drummer? A very glamorous drummer in the 30s.
She was, yeah. Unfortunately, I never met her. This was the woman who was my father's mother, was a glamorous drummer in the 1930s, and she was part of all these women's bands, and she went on tour. Yeah, lots of photos, yeah.
Did that
Great.
inspire, how old were you when you saw the photos?
28.
Okay, so, all right.
So I was already on the road and touring. I'd already sold millions of records by then. But it was kind of a validation for me to actually see this musical family that I had come from, because I grew up not knowing my father. I didn't meet him until I was in my late 20s.
Are you still in touch now?
Yeah, very much, yeah.
And good relationship. Is he proud of you?
Yeah.
That's really good. So tonight you're going to be recording your EP, doing your performances. I'm being a little bit self-indulgent here because I've heard New York is a Woman from Crime and Beauty, and I just want to ask you quickly, what inspired it? It is stunning.
Thank you. What inspired me was a conversation I had with a man who had been to New York, and he was describing his first vision of it and this hotel that he stayed in Times Square, and how beautiful it was, and how he fell in love with the city, and how he ended up staying on for a few weeks. And the way he talked about it was so romantic. It was almost as though he'd fallen in love with it and had had an affair with the city. And I started to imagine New York as a woman, and what kind of woman and she would be if she were a woman. So she'd be kind of naughty. She's not always nice, but very attractive and somebody with a lot of experience. So that's in a nutshell.
Absolutely love it. Can I finally ask you to sign this iTunes poster? Apparently everyone has to do it, so I've got a pen for you. Yeah, sure. There we go.
Where shall I? I'll have a box right behind. There.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Live music with iTunes and Coca-Cola.